Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Layer by Layer, the show about 3D printing and our place inside the industry. Today we're going to talk about nano dimensions, stratus, and some research into 3D printed concrete, and then we'll wrap it up with a discussion around competition inside of 3D printing. But before that, let's go ahead and pay the bills. This episode is brought to you by tangledfilament.com. Tangled Filament is our attempt to reduce the cost of 3D printer filament by being more efficient in the manufacturing and being a little bit clever with the business model. Started out at 22, we've dropped it down to 15, and we're going on down to 10. Right now you can get any color PLA you want so long as it's black. So go ahead and check out tangledfilament.com and get your filament today. Alrighty, going into the news. Nano Dimension, per 3dprint.com. Nano Dimension continues to strengthen its position in the 3D printing industry, holding strong in a challenging economic environment. The company's second quarter of 2024 stands out as its best yet. This quarter, Nano Dimension achieved a record revenue of $15 million, a slight increase from $14.7 million in the same period last year, despite broader industry's challenges such as high interest rates and economic headwinds. But most importantly is the conversation around Nano Dimension's acquisition of Desktop Metal. The company, Nano Dimension, has posted a gross margin of 45.4% in the second quarter, with 44.1% in the same period last year. But they reported a net loss of $44.3 million for the quarter. So let me sum that up a little bit. They earned $15 million, but after that $15 million, they ended up losing $44 million, which means that their expenses were effectively $60 million and their income was $15 million. But in relation to the Desktop Metal acquisition, per CEO Stern, we gave them 9 proposals over the last 2 years to acquire them. Ladies and gentlemen, 9 proposals, points out Stern. The last proposal, which is the one they took, is the lowest proposal of all the lines. Think about it. Traditionally, when you bid for a house and you don't get it, you increase your price until you do. So throughout the drama over the last couple of years, we have seen Stratus, 3D Systems, and Desktop Metal all attempt to merge. So very clearly, Desktop Metal didn't really want to merge with Nano Dimension, or Nano Dimension wasn't giving them the deal they wanted to. But the thing is, each time Nano Dimension made the offer, Desktop Metal rejected it, and then Desktop Metal's valuation went down lower, so Nano Dimension came back around and said, here's a new offer at the new valuation that you're going down to, and Desktop Metal said, no, our valuation is going to come back up, and we're going to go work with these other guys. And then they never worked with the other guys. So Nano Dimension got to come around again and again and again and say, hey, we want to acquire you. And then Desktop Metal finally said it. Politically, this is interesting because it does show that, hey, Desktop Metal didn't really want to do this merger. But they're doing it out of survival sake because Desktop Metal's other options just ran out. They couldn't get the money. So Nano Dimension gets them. I'm thinking about how much I should discuss this as an operator of another company. If I was guessing as to the future, no, I'm not going to go there. This is what happened. This is just the news. I'm not going to editorialize afterwards and talk about other CEOs' problems. I have done it before, but I'm curtailing myself on this one. Okay, per 3D printing industry, Finland-based bioprinting firm Brinter AM Technologies has announced that it will launch its Brinter Core 3D printer to the International Space Station. They will supply the bioprinter to Redwire Space Nevada, the space system manufacturer. After adaptation of the Brinter Core will be able to 3D print on-orbit 3D biosamples and meet stringent space technology requirements. Once in low Earth orbit, ISS personnel will use the Brinter Core to test the effects of microgravity on 3D printed cell constructs. This research seeks to improve knowledge on how to deal with health emergencies in space. It will also explore personalized drug development testing, toxicology, and 3D printed body parts. So, this is interesting because space 3D printing is underrated. From a bioprinting standpoint, in the context of what we do, space is really helpful because since there is no gravity, you can technically print out into thin air and create a three-dimensional object without support. And this could be very useful in creating body parts like ears, where you don't really want to have it messed up with support on the underside or something like that. So it's conceivable that in the context of body parts, you would print them in space and then deliver them down here. There's a company called Varda Aerospace, which is trying to do fiber optic manufacturing in space and then deliver it back down to Earth, using microgravity as a means of enabling certain types of manufacturing. The same is true for bioprinting of body parts, because you can create a very complex, intricate thing and not worry about it being ruined by gravity. That's the very long reach option. Short term, they get to print living tissue in space and see how it reacts to the environment in general. And 3D printers have always been kind of anticipated to be one of the space technologies because they're just so efficient as round as use. Nothing exists until you need it. The materials can be packed very compactly and then turned into whatever you actually need rather than storing in inventory. So all the benefits of 3D printing on Earth really apply in space. This is great, and it's cool to see that there's a bioprinter up. I feel like there was another toe dipping in this a couple of years ago, but I can't remember what that one was. Comment down below if you know of other bioprinting projects on the ISS. But yeah, great to hear. Okay. Our new info: researchers at the University of Virginia School of Engineering and Applied Science have been testing a plant-based additive to concrete that is 3D printable and could improve structural strength. The material is called cellulose nanofibrils. Nanofibrils? I don't know. The initial studies have shown that just 0.3% of it in cement mixture results in a smooth flow of printing with fewer air bubbles, improving structural strength, as Interesting Engineering reported. The improvements we saw on both printability and mechanical measures suggest that incorporating cellulose nanofibrils in commercial printable materials could lead to more resilient and eco-friendly construction practices. So they're putting wood bark into cement, effectively fiber reinforcement inside of concrete. And it also helps improve the flow of the concrete, because concrete itself, in its natural form, is effectively a liquid. Putting in fiber reinforcement makes it more extrudable and consistent, so that it doesn't just go and splash out all over the place. So this isn't really that surprising, and has actually been done by guys like Icon and that kind of stuff. The challenge with concrete buildings initially was actually how to make concrete printable. That was what they spent 3 or 4 years on initially, all of those companies. The one thing that they had talked about that I didn't really realize was a factor was with fewer air bubbles. I guess this makes sense with 3D printing concrete, that it's processed so much more than if you're just pouring concrete, that there would be more air bubbles in it, even though concrete itself isn't really devoid of them. But the fact that the extra processing that printing creates could introduce more air bubbles that would lead to crack propagation and degradation of a building over time. I never thought about that as a factor in this. It's not my industry. I don't know a lot about the concrete 3D printing except the very high level issues that they've had. But yeah, putting fibrous reinforcement inside of concrete, absolutely necessary, and has been worked on for a bit. Okay. This last week or so, quarterly results have been coming out. So we got another set of quarterly results. We just talked about Nano Dimension making $15 million and then losing 45. Stratus, 3D printing firm Stratus to slash 15% of its workforce, including 80 jobs in Israel. Company says global cuts aim to generate $40 million in annual cost savings as it is struggling to attract new capital investments. Stratus did not specify the exact number of job cuts, which are estimated at around 300 employees globally, including 80 in Israel. The streamline will, save alongside the increased adoption and use of Stratus' solutions. Microeconomic challenges affecting the entire industry have led to a decline in demand, particularly for new capital investments, Stratus said in an emailed statement. Accordingly, Stratus is undertaking reorganization efforts and adjusting its cost structure to align with current market conditions. The restructuring move was announced as part of the firm's second quarterly company earnings. Stratus said revenues in the April to June period declined to $138 million from $160 million. So a drop of almost $30 million. $20 million since last year. It reported a net loss of $25.7 million in the second quarter versus a loss of $38 million last year. For the full year, Stratus forecasts revenues of 570 million to 580 million, which is about 50 million lower than its previous forecast. Stratus is losing money. It has a revenue of $500 million, a valuation, I believe, of $500 million, but they're losing $25 million a quarter. So that, make of it what you will. Compared to Nano Dimension, who is losing $45 million a quarter. Yeah, Nano Dimension is a smaller company with lower revenue, significantly lower revenue, almost 10x lower revenue. And wow, Nano Dimension really punching above their weight with their big little cash store. But Nano Dimension does not have the revenue to even remotely match Stratus, is losing way more money quarterly. But it's also being more aggressive, I suppose. Stratus is retracting, whereas Nano Dimension is going out there and taking the fight out there to the world. So it's a different approach, and Stratus is just an old company, but yeah. Actual's advanced 3D printing technology has been used to produce a facade for a recently renovated Boss store in Istanbul. The facade was developed in collaboration with Ippolito Flights Group and uses 3D printing waste materials to create an innovative and circular storefront. Inspired by textile weaving, the facade has been designed to translate the delicate wefts and warps brought in Boss garments into a 3D printed architectural structure. Said to cover 73 meters. It's composed of 136 unique printed pieces. Yeah, if any other companies want to do that, come reach out to us. But it's great to see real companies really leaning into what 3D printing can do. This isn't necessarily a final product, so I was kind of questioning putting this in here because it's kind of gimmicky. A lot of people have done facades and things. From an architectural standpoint, 3D printing is fantastic because they're going to put up this facade, then they're going to tear it down, grind it up, and print it into another one, which is a great solution. That's why it got to stay in. But it's also Boss using it in their stores. And anytime a large company does, we try to highlight that as much as possible because it's adoption of the industry. And it's really cool to see this stuff. So that's the news. Decent amount of stuff happening this week. They're not really like 3D printed products, but like 3D printing scuttlebutt, I guess. Okay, moving into Slant 3D company updates. Tangled update. Not a lot going on there. We're working on spoolless still. New spools. Right now, currently, Black PLA is shipping on reused spools because our spool supplier ran out. We should have that fixed end of this week. So we should be back to regular black spools, which won't work on the AMS. But we're working on spoolless. We're going to see if we can get spoolless out before the end of the year, guys. I'm not sure if we will, if we'll have time. Right now, Christmas season is happening. Like, all of our clients are prepping for the Christmas season right now. And a note to everybody, this is too late to prep for the Christmas season, but it doesn't stop people. So we're getting booked out for all of that. And the team's just really busy taking care of our clients. So projects like Tangled and that kind of stuff are kind of beginning of the year projects when we have sort of loose time as we're moving around and trying new stuff. So there probably won't be any significant Tangled updates for a bit. We're still planning on releasing a large batch at a discounted rate there. But beyond that, not a lot going on. API update. No big updates on the API. We will have a couple of big updates in 2 weeks around materials. We'll have that coming out fairly soon. Yes, that'll be coming out. Useful in time for the Christmas season. Etsy update. Etsy and Shopify. The Shopify app was released last week. Thank you so much who've been trying it out. It's big adoption, big great reaction. Thank you guys all. It's been great to see all of that. But yeah, the Shopify plugin and the Etsy plugin are both operating reliably and efficiently and working really well. Oh, we did just release, by the time this comes out, we did release an affiliate program for at least Etsy that might be coming out for Shopify too. But it'll allow you to sign up as an affiliate, share the code link with people, or the link code link? Yeah, the link with people. And then if anybody comes up and signs up to the Etsy app through that link, they will receive a $10 credit on printing, so they can effectively buy their first print for free, and you will receive a $10 payment for every person who signs up and matches a file. So that affiliate program is now available for anybody who was wanting to share the apps around, or any influencers who are looking for a form of monetization or whatever it happens to be. We wanted to build that into the app so that people had an additional incentive to share it around. So that is a new feature. It doesn't really change how the app functions, but gives people the opportunity to get a free print, and for people sharing and promoting us, for us to say thank you to all of you guys who've been promoting us, and give you skin in the game. Okay, Shopify update. Oh, there is an update with the Etsy, Shopify, and API. Lead times, at least in the short term, will probably decrease substantially here in the next 2 or 3 weeks or so. We're doing a big deployment that will accelerate those, effectively applying more capacity to them. Right now, print and ship times are somewhere between 2 and 4-ish days. In the rare case for like larger orders, they'll go all the way up to like the 5-day lead time that's built into there, but we're trying to make that an unused option of the app. But we're trying to get the lead times down below 2 days of like order comes in, it ships within 2 days in the box out the door. And this has been coming along from both improvements inside the system and engaging with customers and figuring out ways of getting this done. But again, also just deploying more capacity. So we're going to have a major redirect of some of our capacity that direction. Now, the reason I say that is short term is because we're heading into the Christmas season. When we get closer to November and December, everything's going to spike and it's going to blow up and going to whack us all with all kinds of things. It is conceivable, we're trying to avoid this, but it is conceivable that with the spike of demand at that time, that lead times will extend within the plugins. We're going to do all that we can to not have that occur. But at the same time, we have finite amounts of resources available to redirect towards that stuff. So we'll see what we're able to do. But beyond that, we'll keep on rolling. It's short term. We're trying to get it down to 2 days consistently for everybody. Some people are shipping in as little, almost same day right now. Small parts that are able to print out, and if the order comes out the night before, it'll ship the next morning. So we're pretty proud of the team on that right at the moment. But yeah, as we get closer to Christmas, the rules will probably be a change in somewhat. Okay, that's all the stuff. Okay, discussion topic. More competition. Oh. So, right now, the 3D printing industry as a whole is very competitive. Everybody and their grandma makes a 3D printer. But on the services side, it's very competitive. Everybody and their grandma has a 3D printer and is making parts for people. But in the print farm area, and certainly within like the digital services area of like product creation, print on demand kind of stuff, there's no one. There are very few people. And I wish there were more. I wish there were more print farms. I wish there were other guys with APIs. I wish there were other Shopify plugins and Etsy plugins and all this stuff. I wish there were more of all of those, because that is indicative, of a healthy industry, because competition breeds better stuff. We don't want to be the only ones doing this, because then we're the only bastards doing it. It creates a situation where there's no way to compare against anything else. It's completely arbitrary of whether we are good or bad or whatever it happens to be. So I would like to have competition, because then they can go be good at that thing, and then we can counterposition ourselves and be good at this thing. If we're just doing the thing, who knows what would happen? Think about like AI. Right now you have OpenAI, Anthropic, Google, Amazon, so on and so forth. Everybody at Minstrel, everybody building AIs, which are kind of the same product, but they're not. They're different versions of the same product of an LLM, and they have benefits. Like the Google AI, well, has Google spying on you. OpenAI, well, you have Microsoft spying on you. And Minstrel is totally independent, and Llama you can run on your GPU or something. I don't know what all. But there's variation in different product offerings available. Therefore, the industry is able to solve more problems for customers, because these guys are able to focus over here, and these guys are able to focus on it over there. We focus on particular areas, but that means that we then alienate a bunch of people. And when we alienate people and say, like, we don't make those types of parts, they're like, well, 3D printing can't make those types of parts. And that's not the message we want to get across, because that doesn't grow the industry. We want other people involved in this so that customers are better helped. And from a selfish standpoint, if there were other print farms out there, they can spend some marketing budget on promoting how 3D printing is so great. It would be fantastic to have other people doing YouTube videos and talking about how to design feet for a 3D printed part and that kind of stuff. Because it would rising tide raises all boats in this. And there is so much opportunity that there is no reason to be greedy about any part of it. There are so many products to be created and plastic products to be produced, and the injection molding is so big and so ready for disruption that there is no reason to be hoardy about this. And we're like, we don't want any competition. We want to kill anybody we see. Don't come at us. Don't come in here. Nobody pay attention to us, to the man behind the curtain. No, please, other people build print farms and connect an API to them. Please do, because there's enough demand out there for everybody. And it makes the industry healthier when people get to compete and kind of butt heads. I would like to compete with other people because it strengthens steel, sharpens steel, so that both of us end up getting better and creating a better product for the customer. Now, 10 years from now, yeah, we might be Adidas, Nike sworn enemies and just want to murder those guys. But right now, when there's full blue ocean out in front of everybody, there is no reason to be that way. And even 10 years from now, even the large companies that fight with each other generally don't recognize how much opportunity is available. And they limit themselves to the fight, like Pepsi, Coca-Cola, that kind of thing. Those big old duopolies. Apple, Microsoft, Google, and no one. There's other places for them to go, other things they can do. Like Microsoft is right now in the duopoly of Apple and Microsoft. Apple has become the consumer products company, and Microsoft has become the commercial products company. And both of them have settled and done okay for themselves. So competition is a highly overrated problem because it's almost a non-problem. You don't want to be in a place that's exceptionally competitive. I don't want to make 3D printers and sell them. That seems like a stupid decision because there's 50 bajillion competitors. But likewise, having zero competitors is equally unhealthy because there's so many shiny things, only one place to go. You end up alienating certain users who want to engage with you, but you just have to say no because we just can't do everything. And you try to expand and help people as quickly as possible, but you have to stay focused. But all of that creates kind of a toxic situation, and there's less money involved in it. If all the money going to 3D printer manufacturers started going to 3D printing service providers, or people, no, actually not service providers, forget service providers, people making 3D printed products, using the manufacturing process to create something unique and competitive and original, that would be fantastic. Because there's just, people need to create more of the solutions made with 3D printing. And if they did that, the industry would grow so quickly. The parts is where the value is, not the machines themselves. So there's so much opportunity in this space that there need to be more competitors around. And we're not competitors. At that point, this early on, we're effectively just all on the same team. It's bad to think of it as competitors. It's like we're all racing towards the same goal. We can fight over who gets there first, but like we're all racing in the same direction, and that creates a momentum that carries all the rest of the industry along with it. So yes, I wish that we had more print farms around and anywhere in the world, all over the place, more print farms around and more of all the services that we've created. If anybody just wants to go through our list of services and copy them, somebody wants to make low-cost filament, go for it. That Tangled itself is like the exact definition of this. We created Tangled in order to add a competitor to the group of US manufacturers in order to light a fire underneath US manufacturers. And I'm going to take a little bit and to compete with Chinese manufacturers, because I was like, there's no reason that it should be able to be shipped across an ocean and still be less expensive over here after doing that. So we made Tangled in order to set that up and demonstrate it. And I think it's worked because last year when we started up Tangled, the average cost of filament was like $20. And right now the average cost of filament is sitting down around 15. Oddly enough, about the price that we're sitting at right now too. There's the uber low budget ones where you're like, oh, buy 10, buy bulk, whatever else it was, and it goes lower. And we could do that too. If people wanted to buy a pack of 10 from us, we would do that. But that's a variation that's not very useful. And we have the 3 kg spools for people who want that type of bulk. With Tangled, it was all about process management to just make it as simple as possible so that we could reliably continue to do this. Because everybody can bottom out their prices to $10 for a moment or for a sale or in a particular format, but that doesn't mean they actually hit that price. We want to be able to hit that price and just sit there. Like we don't do discounts at Tangled. We don't do, oh, it's on sale. No, it's for sale, and that's the lowest price that we can reasonably offer and have it be sustainable. Once we hit a new tier where it's the lowest price that we can reasonably offer, then we lower it and then we stay there. And I'm very proud of the fact that we've continued to lower the price, and so far we have not had to bump back up. Now we're starting to get to the edge of stuff to where that dynamic might shift a little bit, but it is it's something that's coming down, and there's still the roadmap that we're on for Tangled to get there. But yeah, Tangled is an example of us kind of recognizing our own philosophy that competition is good. And there's plenty of room out there. Like there's so much consumption of 3D printer filament that absolutely there can be more people doing it in a cost-effective fashion. While there's a lot of filament, there's not enough for print farms. And certainly as big as print farms are going to become, there's not enough for print farms. So that's another reason we built Tangled. But yeah, ultimately, we'd like to see more competition, and competition generally just breeds something good. Because it just makes everybody better and forces everybody to analyze what they're doing and focus on what they're doing. And you don't just get to wander around saying, we're a 3D print farm, we make everything, and we got resin and all this other stuff that just dilutes you, as opposed to having a competitor right there who's going against you for like the same customer, client, or service and competing against with them to figure out how you can have a better service, a better business model, better products, all things. There's better outcomes from that. And the 3D printing industry has certainly lots of competitive saturation at the machine level, but not enough at the service or part design level. And there could be more. Alrighty, well, that's it, everybody. Hope you comment down below if there's other topics or news stories that you want us to cover. We do actually use submissions from people fairly often. The last few weeks, we've had a decent number of stories that people have sent to us. So do send us more. And let us know if there's any particular questions that you want to see around. All right. Have a good day, everybody.